What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So Burst of Destruction is just around the corner, and many people are getting excited for Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. This card is going to be crazy, and personally I think it's going to change the meta way more than Red Eye's Dark Dragoon ever did. This card might be what gets Verde banned because they're not going to release it and then it's going to come out. But anyway, guys, today we're going to talk about and compare Red Eye's Dark Dragoon to Destroy Phoenix Enforcer and kind of see which card is actually better. Which card should you actually be playing? Well, let's start it out and kind of see what both cards do. So Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, you use Red Eyes and Dark Magician. Obviously, Verde sending Red Eyes Fusion is the most common way to summon it, and you get it, right out of for free by sending the cards. It cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neither player can target this card with card effects. You can destroy one monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage equal to that monster's original. Keyword original. People don't read that all the time. Attack. And you can use this effect the number of times for normal monsters use. So more often than not, in like Verde builds and everything, it's 2. There are ways to summon it otherwise, but we're going to stick to the common way, the splashable way, the engine way. So you can pop 2 cards, burn twice, once per turn, quick effect. You can discard a card, negate the activation of a card or effect, and if you do, destroy that card, and this card gains 1,000 attack. So it's a big towers. It's protected from destruction, targeting, it can pop and burn, and it's an Omni negate on legs. It does require you to discard, so that's like really the only drawback, is that you have to discard with this card. Otherwise, it's insane. As far as how good is this card, it's a 10 out of 10. Like, it's an 11 out of 10. This card is one of the strongest cards to ever be printed. Luckily, we have a lot of ways to out cards like this, Droplet, Dark Ruler No More, Super Poly, all of those great things. But some decks are actually built just around summoning it. Like, they'll run 3 Red Eyes Fusion, Guru, Gravekeepers, and sometimes they'll even play like Red Eye's Insight, which not only puts Wyvern in the grave so they can revive Dragoon later, it also just gives them extra copies of Red Eye's Fusion to make sure that they can get to it a little bit sooner. So this card is so good. Why is there even a comparison? What could Destroy Phoenix Enforcer actually do? Well, it requires 1 level 6 or higher hero monster and 1 Destiny hero monster. That seems, kind of interesting. So it's like, well, both of them require bricks, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Monsters your opponent controls, though, lose 200 attack for each hero card in your graveyard. It's usually going to be the 2 materials used. So monsters your opponent control lose 400 attack. You can only use each of the following effects of Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer once per turn. Quick effect. You can destroy both 1 card you control and 1 card on the field. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effects, you can activate this effect. Special summon 1 Destiny Hero monster in your graveyard, from your graveyard, during the standby phase of next turn. So it's a quick effect to pop a card on your opponent's field. You can pop itself, and then it's going to activate, and it's going to be able to revive itself in the next standby phase. So it's a very recursive pop, which doesn't sound anywhere near Dragoon because it's not. You can pop cards to plus, though, too. Like, say, because Fusion Destiny will destroy it during your opponent's end phase anyway, so it is going to get destroyed that way. But say you have Artifact Sanctum, they summon a card, you can Phoenix Enforcer, pop your Sanctum, pop their card, and then Sanctum's going to trigger, summon, and then effect and lock them out of the extra deck. Like, or not Sanctum, Scythe, sorry. I do expect to see Artifact Scythe get played much more because of this card too, but otherwise, like, I'm a Cyber Dragon player, I can set Overflow, let them commit to their board. I'm going to activate Phoenix Enforcer, pop my Overflow and one of their cards, and chain Overflow to pop even more of their cards, and now I'm going to get a search off of Overflow too because it was just destroyed by a card effect. And this card does enable a lot of stuff like that, like True Draco cards, float and have effects when destroyed. But any deck that has these types of cards that gain these effects when destroyed, like, they can just plus even harder by chaining them up with the DPE. We're just going to continue calling it. So that's actually really strong in that regards. As far as how good is this card on its own, I give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It's a really strong boss monster, but it's by no means like Dragoon level broken. Like, both are very, very strong cards, but head to head, card versus card, Dragoon is the better card. What card would you rather have on your board? Probably Dragoon. I mean, depending on your deck, and like I said, popping your own cards to plus can lead you to a Phoenix Enforcer. But as far as Dragoon Enforcer, you only get one on the board. That's what you get. Dragoon is probably the better card head to head. So that's it for that video, right? Not quite, because that's not how simple Yu-Gi-Oh is. Dragoon, let's look at the engines now. Red Eyes Fusion, Dark Magician, Red Eyes Black Dragon, possibly Red Eyes Insight, maybe more copies of Red Eyes Fusion. So, but let's say the bare minimum, 3 bricks. You're running 3 bricks for Dragoon. What if you open Red Eyes Fusion? Well, you better hope they don't have Ash, right? Because if they Ash your Red Eyes Fusion, you can't summon. The restriction hurts you so hard. It's turn 1 or bust too. Like, you'd use this play, you summon your Dragoon, they out it, like, that's it, it's over. You don't get it back, it's gone, it's done. You can run, like we said, the 6 copies with Insight, with Red Eyes Fusion, and decks like Guru and Gravekeeper and other things like that. So then at least you get a little bit of that recursion back. But like, between the restriction and the fact that none of the cards really do a whole lot, this engine is not that good, and a lot of decks actually said, hey, my deck's better without putting the brickiness into it, I'm not going to run it. However, Fusion Destiny now. So for those who don't know, you fusion summon 1 monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or deck as fusion materials. Sounds just like Red Eyes Fusion, right? Monsters, but including a Destiny Hero monster, must be listed as material, which is easy, but destroy it during the end phase of the next turn, your opponent's turn. That's okay, because when it gets destroyed, it activates to come back anyway. So that actually doesn't hurt at all from the Fusion Destiny. And after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except Dark Hero monsters. Okay, so if you open this and you use it and they ash you, you're kinda SOL, right? Well, luckily there is no summoning restriction before, like Red Eyes Fusion. Red Eyes Fusion is the whole turn. This is for the rest of the turn, meaning not only if they, like, well, I guess if they ash it, you're still in that boat. But you can, if you open Fusion Destiny, you can combo off, do everything you want, and then after your combo, after they disrupt you, now you drop Fusion Destiny, and now you can go ahead and summon your Phoenix Enforcer anyway. You can't do that with Red Eyes Fusion. So in all reality, you're only playing 2 bricks with this engine, which is the monsters. But let's go on into those monsters. So for the level 6, you're usually either going to have Destiny Hero Dasher or even Destiny Hero Mally, and then they can run 2 Mally because now they have that free extender, and because they can banish the one from the graveyard after it's there to summon out another one, and they get that free body, the free extender, and that's one route they might go. Dasher, however, when this card is in your graveyard, during your draw phase, if this card is in your graveyard and you draw a monster, you can reveal it and special summon it. So it potentially gives you a free summon just because this card's in your graveyard, just because you summoned a really strong boss monster. It must be in the graveyard to resolve this effect. So that's pretty good. It already starts out your follow-up play better because you might get a free summon just by drawing your card. And then the other one being Destiny Hero Celestial. So with this card, you can banish get to the actual part, blah blah blah. Except while you have no cards in your hand. That's the word I was looking for through the text. So while you have no cards in your hand, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card and 1 Destiny Hero monster, draw 2 cards. I didn't want to just say banish them and draw 2 because I knew there was that clause in there somewhere, and I wanted to make sure I read it properly. So when you have no cards in your hand, so you can start comboing again, or you can set your traps, you can empty out your hand that way, and then you can banish Celestial and like your Mally and your Dasher and draw 2 cards just for free again. So not only do you get the free summon, not only do you possibly get the free extension off Mally, not only all of that, like you get the recursive boss monster, Celestial could give you a draw 2, or like you can't use it like because you have a monster in hand, you can't get it out of your hand. The game starts going longer and longer. You're in a grindy game, you have nothing left in your hand. Guess what? You get to draw 2 cards because you have nothing left in your hand. Like, it just gives you that much stronger follow-up play. So again, between the draw 2, between the free extension on your follow-up turn, between being able to use it after you combo if you open it, like you can actually play 3 Fusion Destiny, which Cyber Traps, that's what I'm doing, because if you don't open it, you go Verde, you dump Fusion Destiny, and guess what? If they negate the Verde, you still have another Fusion Destiny, the engine is still alive. You're not running 3 Red Eyes Fusion if like you're not dedicated to summoning Dragoon. You can run 3 Fusion Destiny, and if it gets negated, you have 2 more, or if you open it, you can use it from hand. Like, the card is just, the engine to engine is just not even comparable. Like, the Dragoon engine's like, what, a 0 out of 10? Because there's really, it's there to summon Dragoon. It doesn't offer anything else, whereas this engine, I would give it like a solid like 7, 8 out of 10 as far as like splashable engines go, because it can be slightly bricky, giving you a card you don't want in your hand, being one of the 2 monsters. But the follow-up, the recursion, like being able to play 3 of the fusion spell, like this 8, yeah, so 8 out of 10 as far as the engine goes. And that's why I think a lot of people will be playing Phoenix Enforcer, because it's so much less bricky and offers follow-up plays. So that, as opposed to, well, it's bricky, but I didn't open a brick this time. So I do think that Phoenix Enforcer is going to see much more play. I think it's more splashable, because like decks like Virtual World, I mean, they can summon Dragoon in their own way, but like a deck, that's just an example where they can't go into a Link monster after they start doing their plays because it's not a level 3 or rank 3 or higher. But if they hard open Fusion Destiny, they can summon Phoenix Enforcer. Again, just one random example there, not saying that they're going to play it, but things like that. So personally, if I had to pick between Dragoon and Phoenix Enforcer, I'm going Phoenix Enforcer, guys. I think that because of the engine and the fact that it's still such a strong boss monster, maybe head to head with Dragoon it's not quite as good, but overall with the engine and everything included, like the D Hero package is so much better than the Dragoon package, and we're going to see it take over the meta. Lots of people are going to be playing it. Until next time, guys, take care.